I'm gonna tell you why I was considering switching to Sony and whether I'm going to or not, just after the intro. What's up guys, Dan Frullani here and welcome back to a new video. So, am I switching to Sony? Let me start from the beginning. My first camera is the Canon R6, which is filming right now, by the way. My second camera is the Canon R7, and my third camera is the Canon 90D. I'm really happy with all of them for different reasons, but even though the Canon R6 is my favorite one for both photos and videos, it's not the perfect camera, or at least I can't say I am 100% happy with it because of two main reasons. Number one, it overheats a lot. And even though when I work it's not a problem because I switch from one camera to another and basically I don't give it a time to overheat most of the times. But when I do YouTube videos, especially during the summer, it happens quite a lot. And it overheated again. Even though it might seem like it's not a big deal, I end up losing and wasting a lot of time. The other issue is that I like shooting 120 frames per second a lot, but since I got the Canon R6, I don't do it quite as often as I used to. Because let alone that the 120 frames per second of the Canon R6 is in 1080 and not in 4K, but its quality is not really good, let's say. Especially because even when everything is exposed perfectly, most of the times I get digital noise and I end up with unusable footage. In fact, in one of my last videos, I couldn't use any of the footage in 120 frames per second from the Canon R6. I was obliged to use footage from the Canon R7 in super slow motion. And strangely enough, the Canon R7, for what concerns the 120 frames per second, is much better than the Canon R6. That's weird, considering that it's supposed to be inferior to the R6 and also it's like $1,000 cheaper, so that's strange. So I didn't even consider the Canon R5 for two reasons. One, even though the overheating issue has been solved for the Canon R5, I hear many people complaining about the quality of the 120 frames per second in spite of being in 4K. So and the other issue is the price. I don't want to spend so much money just for the 120 frames per second, especially when I hear that it's not as good as it's supposed to be. There are some new cameras that will be launched in the market in 2024, but we don't know much about them yet. I mean, I can't say I'm gonna get the Canon R5 Mark II or the Canon R1. I don't buy cameras if I don't see how they perform first in the real world. I don't care what the specs say, and also the price, because I believe that will be pretty pricey. So, and since there's nothing else, no other camera from Canon in the price range, like let's say like the Canon R6 or Canon R6 Mark II, I was considering different options. Some of my favorite creators, fellow YouTubers like Potato Jet or Mehdi Apoya. Hi Mehdi, you doing? Don't forget to hit the like button. I switched to Sony quite a few years ago and they're very happy with it, with their camera. Mehdi is using the Sony A7S III and I took a look at it and it's pretty good. I mean, pretty awesome, let's say. But it's a little bit pricey, so I was trying to see if there's anything like a little bit cheaper, more affordable by Sony, because I always hear that Canon cameras are expensive and Sony provides with better and more advanced specs for the same price. Well, okay, and when I was considering this comment in my head, and I read many comments like this, when I was thinking about this, I found out that Sony just launched two new cameras. One that I'm not gonna consider because I heard that for what concerns video, it's not really ideal. It's not great, let's say. It has a 61 megapixel sensor and that's great for photographers. But there was this other one camera that was pretty interesting, the A7S II. And I watched the video of Mehdi Apoya about it and many other videos, and I was almost convinced. I say almost, because I saw the quality is awesome. It's a 33 megapixel sensor, I think, which is pretty good. And you can shoot 4K 60 and super slow motion 120 frames per second, but in 1080. Okay, its price is good, like $2,100. So it could have been an option, but then I've done more research and I found out other flaws. I mean, characteristics that for me are flaws. One is the roller shutter is kind of huge, but okay. Then I saw that the quality of the 120 frames per second is not really good. I don't know about digital noise, but the image in general in 120 frames per second doesn't look sharp at all from what I've seen. But here comes the deal breaker. It can shoot 4K 60, yes indeed, with a crop, a 1.5 crop, almost like an APS-C camera, which is 1.6 crop. So I don't want to deal with this, because one thing is to have a crop sensor camera that when you shoot real-time speed, 24 frames per second or 4K 60 or whatever frame rate, it stays cropped, stays the same. But when you use a camera that you're shooting at real-time speed and it's full frame, then you switch to 4K 60 and it becomes a Super 35. Well, that's not ideal at all. Like if I'm using a lens on a camera, I don't want it to change completely the field of view if I switch from one mode to another. It would just make it confusing and hard to figure out, like when it comes to choosing a lens. So in the end, this Sony A7S II is like an A7S III crippled, without the 120 frames per second in 4K and with a 4K 60 with the crop. So also from what concerns Sony, there's nothing for me to substitute my Canon R6. By the way, it's overheating right now, so I'm gonna stop, wait for it to cool down, and then continue and wrap it up. So for the moment, no new interesting Canon cameras coming out, at least not for me to substitute my Canon R6, and nothing from Sony either. So this is the reason why for the time being I'm not switching to Sony. But if they come up with a better new camera someday soon, I might. And this is true also for what concerns Canon. I'm not married to Canon. If someone else makes a better camera, I'll buy it and I'll use it. Alright, that's all I wanted to say for today. Don't forget to check the links in the description to see all my gear stuff and things, and check the link to Epidemic Sound if you want 1 month of awesome music and great sound effects, 1 month for free. And I think I don't have anything else to say, so I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, smash the like button right now and subscribe if you ain't already, and I'll see you guys the next video. Oh yeah!